Says I'm live now. I'm finishing my dishes, and I wanted to come live and share my story with you guys. I thought it would help if I had something for my hands to do, multitasking. One of my goals as mom is to go to bed with a clean kitchen, which of course you never feel like cleaning your kitchen in the evening, but it makes your day, the next day, so much better. So that's my goal. That's what I'm doing. My phone's at 10%, so it's going to be kind of quick sharing my story. Some of you are new here and don't know my story about how I got it started working on social media, and totally not something that I ever thought I would do. So how funny is that? So that's why I love to share my story. If you don't know, I was a high school math teacher for 5 years. Well, I taught middle school math for 2 years, high school math for 3 years. I loved my teaching job. Loved it, loved it, loved it. I would say I thought I had my dream job. I was track coach, cross country coach. Absolutely loved it. But then I had kids and everything changed. Our plan was to wait 3 years before getting pregnant. We got pregnant in 3 months. And it was the best thing God could have done to mess up our plans. Literally, I think all the time, like how much it helped my husband and I grow and changed our path in so many good ways. But at the time it felt like, oh my word, I wasn't ready for this. So once I had my son, teaching was not my dream job because it meant being away from him, taking him to daycare. I had applied for an online teaching job and didn't get it, which was the Lord's blessing. But just absolutely hated taking him to daycare. He was sick that whole year. He had 8 antibiotics in the first year of his life, and it was just not fun. He was a horrible sleeper because he was always having ear infections and sick and pink eye and literally anything you can think of, respiratory infections and hand, foot, and mouth and everything came home from daycare. So he was always sick and I was working, and it was really painful. I had to chose to finish my 5 years of teaching so I could get my loans forgiven. And during those last 2 years when I was taking him to daycare, I was searching everywhere. Like, what can I do online? How can I make money from home? Like, there's got to be a way. I had a lot of ideas, like maybe I could tutor math, maybe I could, I don't know. So looking online for different options, I found a bookkeeping business, and it was by this accountant. He taught you how to run your own online bookkeeping business. I thought, you know what, that's a really great fit for me. We got the math there, work from home. It's a pretty low startup. It was a couple $1,000 to purchase the course. You get your LLC, your laptop, you can get a free QuickBooks Pro Advisor accounts once you pass the test, all that kind of stuff. So I thought, bookkeeping is a great thing for me. So I started that bookkeeping business in 2018. Kind of just started with like one client while I finished my teaching, and then quit my teaching job in 2019, got out right before the pandemic. Crazy, Lord's provision there. And started growing my bookkeeping business. Now I had 2 kids at this time, 2 kids under 2. But you know what? They napped at the same time. And it worked. I started growing my business, and then COVID hit and I lost some more clients. So businesses go like this, right? That's all part of it. But what I realized in 2020, there was like no online or no in-person networking events going on at that time because of COVID. I had lost some clients because their businesses were shut down. And I was really searching for how can I make an impact financially for our family right now? We were currently living in a home that was in a rough part of town because we were house hacking. We rented out one side and lived on the other side of a duplex, which was great. That was really the way I could be home. But I really wanted more. I wanted a home with land. I didn't want to have to be fearful in my home. My husband would travel, and I was always fearful in my home. There was one time that I was nursing my daughter, and there was a drive-by shooting at the house right behind us, and just I hated it. I hated not having a yard. I hated living in an unsafe neighborhood. And I was super motivated to find a way to make our situation different. I wanted it to be different. And it was at that time, I was like, I really need a business mentor. And what I noticed about my bookkeeping business was I still had a good amount of nap time at that time to work. But I noticed that not only did I book a client and I was locked into that many hours of work once I booked that client, I also not only had to work my business to get paid, right? But you also had to work on your business. There are so many pieces to running a business, okay? Whether you do e-commerce, whether you do online, there's just so many pieces. You are, the person in charge of your books as your own business. You are in charge of your marketing. You're in charge of from beginning and end of a small business owner. And so it just, became a little bit more complex. And so one of my friends told me about a gal who shared a lot of business advice online. And so I was like, I'm going to follow her, get some like business mentorship. But most of the moms who were doing this bookkeeping course, they had a good group to help people who were launching their bookkeeping businesses. Like all the moms were stressed. It was just like all of them felt like either I work and get paid or I have to give up my kids, which to me, it was like the whole reason I started this was so I didn't have to like send my kids to daycare and do all this stuff. But if I like wanted to make more money, I had to not have my kids with me. It's very hard to focus and do detail work. If someone's going to be filing their taxes, their books need to be right. And it's very hard to do that when you have 2 kids, 2 and under, or young kids, and being that present mom that I've always wanted to be. And I knew I wanted to have more kids. I knew I wanted to homeschool. That's what I wanted. So I started following this gal, and she was selling beauty products online and homeschooling her kids, making way more than she ever made as a teacher. So I related with that as I was a teacher. Found out talking to her that we had ran cross country and track against each other in college. So it's really related, like, wait a second. It just kind of clicked for me on that. Like, she and I are similar. Like, if she can do it, why can't I do it? And I just remember looking at her life and being like, that is what I want. I want to be home with my kids. I don't want us to have to scrape for money. I want to have a home that we desire. I want to be able to pay for the extra things like swimming lessons and gymnastics. I want to be able to go on vacation. I want to not live in this place anymore. Like, so many things I saw that I wanted, and she was also having fun doing it. I'm not going to tell, bookkeeping paid bills, but like, it wasn't that interesting. What I realized is, as a teacher, I really enjoyed the personal aspect of getting to know my students and feeling like I was doing good and helping them. And then what I noticed with my bookkeeping business is people hired me because they didn't want to think about their book. So it was almost like, you just take care of this in the background, Katie. Thank you for doing that, but like, we don't want to talk to you, right? They weren't really like, I wasn't seeing the results of my work. It was more just like, yay, I did that, so now I can file my taxes. Like, thanks for doing that. And I was like, I want to have an impact. I want to see that my work is meaningful. I don't just want to make money. I want to have an impact on people's lives. Like, that's obviously why I became a math teacher versus like an engineer, right? I had a math degree. I could have done engineering and made more money, but I was like, I want to have an impact while also making money. So she was selling beauty products online, which was helping women with their hair, which I was postpartum. So it all just kind of like made sense to me. Like, I am like her. If she can do it, I can do it. She's living the life I want to live and making money online, and she's helping women and making an impact. And so it kind of just clicked for me, like, why not try? It was totally out of my comfort zone, right? I mean, at the time I had 100 followers on Instagram, was not on TikTok. I, just posted pictures I liked on Facebook. But I really had a big why, and I just thought, what's the worst thing that could happen? Like, what if it turns out good, and so I decided to go for it. I jumped all in. I bought, beauty products and started sharing them. And man, I put out a lot of bad content. I mean, when I say I put out bad content, I put out bad content. But I look back at that and I'm so proud of myself, because that was really the only way that I could learn, was by putting myself out there and trying. And I figured out what worked and what didn't, and I figured out how to talk to people and how to connect and how to market and all those things. And there were some rough times learning, and I didn't do everything great, but I learned along the way. And I had business mentors. I really had wanted that mentorship in business, and finally feeling like I wasn't alone running a business. I had other women that were doing this with me. I started earning free chips, and wow, that community was huge. And I was like, this is what I want. I want to run with this. So I actually decided to slow down my bookkeeping business. I had more babies, and I'm homeschooling now. I now have 4 kiddos, and I was like, this is what I want to run with. This is where it's at, that I can earn free trips, that I can earn our next family car, that I don't have to take care of the online shop. I got a link to my online shop when I purchased my products, meaning I didn't have to worry about all that background. I just had to share and market, share, connect, share, and help women. And seeing people saying, oh my word, this is helping me so much postpartum. It's helping me with my confidence. Like, I love these products. Like, it's like, that's so exciting. Now, I didn't share that I grew up on a farm, that I did say that I ran cross country and track in college, but like, for me to share beauty products seemed so like, what? Like, she's not a beauty products gal. But I realized everybody washes their hair. I was washing my hair, right? And I was into cleaner beauty. So the products follow the European standard for beauty. And it just was like, you know, kind of a no-brainer. Like, I can do this. I may not be a beauty gal, but I know women are buying this. I know people want their hair to grow. Like, that's a huge need. So I jumped in, and it's just been something that I have just become really passionate about. Now, my life has changed a lot, right? Like how I said, I have 4 kids. I'm home with them, homeschooling. Like, I'm living what I want. We have a different home with land in a safer neighborhood. But my passion has really just, how can I help as many people as possible, right? Because I want that impact. I don't just want to show up just for myself, just to make the next dollar, but like, how can I want to help women stay home with their kiddos and reach those goals that they've been reaching. Which is really cool to me, because I've always been passionate about like budgeting and finances, the math teacher in me. And so it's like, now I get to help women reach those goals. So that's my story. That's why I'm here. I'm at 5% of my battery now. But if you're someone who's wanting to make money online, and you're like me, where you're like, I need a scalable business and not just something I have to trade dollars for hours, I'm telling you, affiliate marketing, selling beauty products online is the way to go. It's making money for me even when I'm homeschooling. It's making money for me after I do the work. It's not that I don't do work. I work very hard at my business. I take it seriously, but it continues to pay me afterwards. And that is a huge, huge deal. There is literally no business like it. I'm so thankful. So if you are someone who is like, man, I want to start making money online, send me a DM. I can tell you a little bit more about it if you think that's something that might be a good fit for you. And yeah, thanks so much, guys, for listening to my story. Hope to connect with you soon.